So today's seminar is all about becoming a wholesale real estate master. To master the basics of wholesaling, so you can do it on your own, so that you master the skill of buying property. Like, that's number one. So we get into business, we don't have tons of cash to work with, we're going to learn to think like an investor. You want to write that down. A wholesaler's typically going to have like two mindsets you're going to find out there in the market. You have one mindset of the wholesaler that's thinking like an unlicensed real estate agent. They're trying to make $2 grand, $1,000, or trying to make $5 grand on the deal. That's their goal. And then you have a wholesaler who thinks like an investor, whose goal is to buy property one day. So everybody in here, goal is to buy property.
Yeah.
At some point, you want to buy property yourself, whether to rehab it and flip it, or to rehab it and rent it out, refinance it, keep it long term. But either way, we master the basics. We master wholesaling so that we can become an investor at some point and learn how to buy properties the right way now. So our goal as a real estate investor mentality or mindset wholesaler, our goal is to have deals go to settlement. We want to close deals. We're not chasing 1,000, we're not chasing 5,000, we're not chasing 10,000. We're going out and structuring deals that go to settlement. We're negotiating and working on deals that go to settlement. So like your unlicensed real estate agent mentality wholesale, they watched a couple YouTube videos and they got access to, as much knowledge as they could. Maybe didn't take it all from the right person. It's like not a way to judge, hey, is that person closing? I don't know, they're in Mississippi and they put a YouTube video out. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard for me to judge whether or not they did that. But the way you're going to do it is not like the unlicensed agent. You're not chasing a couple grand, not chasing the money. You're learning the skills to get the deals to settlement. And then there'll become a point where you make the shift, where you'll wholesale 5, you'll wholesale 10 deals, maybe 15. Somewhere in there, you meet somebody with some cash and you're able to close on a deal. Maybe you saved the money up and you got the cash yourself, you're closing the deal. But your comfort level from now until that point in time you're closing the deal is going to be sky high as a result of closing in and out of all those wholesale deals. You're going to see like neighborhoods where in the beginning you might be ready to buy and grab that thing, but then like after a year or so of doing it, you're going to be happy you didn't. You don't have to go down there on a Saturday morning and chase and collect rent, or the tenant's not buying, or for whatever reason you just don't fall in love with the neighborhood in that deal like you might in the very beginning. So that's like one word of caution. Get into the business. So that's developing the investor mindset. All right, the basic order. Basic order of a wholesale deal, I think a lot of you guys know this, it's basic. It's kind of like, this is what happens. You have a seller with the property. Put the property over there. You have the wholesaler, that's you. And you coming in with that investor mentality, right? Is in the middle, and then the end buyer. So you come in to the seller, you never try to have a conversation with the seller and say, yeah, I'm a wholesaler, this is what I do, I make money in the middle, blah, 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 and you get into this whole conversation. You're trying to hold a seminar like I'm having today with you guys, educating this seller who didn't want that. You know what the seller wanted when they answered your letter?
Money.
They want a cash buyer, they just want an offer. They want to be able to sleep at night until the deal goes to settlement. They want peace of mind. They want the security knowing that the deal's going to go to settlement. They want to know that they're dealing with an expert. You're the expert. You're the expert. They've never done this before. You're the one who's doing this hundreds of times. You know the title process. You know the right things to look for when you go into the property. You basically know how to get the deal to settlement. And that's what they're looking for when they call you off your letter, your advertising, your bandit sign, whatever it is that you develop that works for you to get leads. So they call, they're looking for an offer. So you walk into the house as an investor. You want to walk in like you're in my shoes. I'm flipping property today, so you want to put yourself in the same mentality that I have now, like I'm flipping property. I'm going in there, and I'm looking at that house as though I'm going to close on it and flip it. This is the first house you look at this week. You're going in there like you're going to find the money and close on the deal. That was the one thing I did right when I went down to my first deal and ended up assigning it. My mentality was that I'm going to go in here, I'm going to fix this house up, and I'm going to turn around and sell it. And that's how I negotiate in the beginning. I negotiate like an investor, not someone who's trying to middleman and describe wholesaling and make $1,000 off selling your property. The $1,000 would sound great. In the very beginning, on the first deal, when I wasn't working a lot, if I could have been tempted to say that, hey, how about I sell the property for $2,000 and I have this long conversation with you about how I'm going to be this middleman and we'll sign an agreement. And I think, well, what's an agreement? Why am I doing this? And you're selling the property. I don't understand. I've done it a few times. That's how I know. And it was a mistake I made. We closed less deals that way. So I walk in as the investor and make a straight cash offer with the seller. Seller accepts. We maybe negotiate. I sign the agreement of sale. Then I look for my end buyer at that point. So then I made the decision. I have this under agreement, right? I put the house under agreement, hold the agreement, say, do I want to close on this property? Well, at this point now, right, even though we're just starting off with no wholesaling from the beginning, but like you switched from investor mentality, you went in, negotiated, got the contract, and now you say, okay, I changed my mind. I think I'm going to maybe wholesale this deal because I see there's other opportunities coming up, and now it's time to just wholesale the deal to another end buyer. You see how like I switched my mindset there after the contract was sold? I decided I'm going to, because it's important. It's like the way you think, the way you approach that, it's going to read. The seller's going to read that. Your actions, your confidence level, your communication with the seller is all going to come across a certain way when you walk in there and you literally have your mindset as an investor, as someone who's going to buy the property. And that's who they want to deal with. That's who they're under the impression of dealing with when they respond to your advertising, to your marketing, to your letter. They're expecting the investor to come. They're not expecting this real estate agent experience where I'm going to try to sell the property for you. So you'll do some marketing, you'll make some phone calls in the beginning. I'm going to get the end buyer. 9 times out of 10, I know how to get the end buyers, I know how to deal with the end buyers. I'm going to keep that end up. It's very simple for you guys in the beginning when we're going to close a bunch of deals. But at some point, you'll be finding your own investors who have the money to close on the deal. So that's like the simple structure of a wholesale deal right there. Any questions on that quick before that's what we'll do is, if you have questions, write them down and I'll periodically stop and just kind of ask, make sure we're clear on that process. And then I'll move on to the next piece. And I'll probably answer a lot of the questions. Maybe you're thinking, well, this other piece, this other piece. Well, there's a good chance that, throughout the course of the day, we'll answer a good percentage of the questions. But I will stop periodically. So if you have something pops into mind, just write it down. And we'll make sure we, stop and answer for questions.
Are you stopping now or no?
Yeah, you have a quick one?
Yeah, I mean, this may be too far ahead, so it's fine to answer it later. But you go in there like you're an investor, like you're going to buy the property. So my question is, what happens when you have to say these 3 or 4 people need to look at the property? I mean, now it seems like you went off the...
To a degree. A lot of times you'll see when I go through the agreement of sale, I put them on notice in a sense. It may not be my company, it may not be me closing on the deal. I have some friends who may want to look at the property. We'll kind of cover that a little bit, and how we present it, how we kind of switch it off. And we're not presenting all the information to them, all the way up front. It's kind of like we do this step here, this step here, this step here, so we're not causing them any undue stress, wondering whether you're going to even close the deal.
Right.
Because that's the biggest fear. Number one fear of selling. The deal's not going to close. So when they stumble on your advertisement for the property, and they call you, you wonder, what are you doing with the property, what's going on? What they're really saying is, hey, I'm scared, I'm scared, Bree, I need to know that you're gonna close this deal. Yeah, that's how you translate that when they're flipping out of you. What are you trying to sell the property? Oh, no, we're gonna close the deal either way, no matter what. This is just part of the process. Sometimes if another buyer wants to step in and give me a little money for me to get out of the way, I'm an investor, I'm gonna take the profit, I'm gonna move on. I have a lot of projects I see. So you don't have a problem with that. You knew I was gonna make money on the deal from the beginning, right? As long as I get it to settlement. So I'm gonna close this deal no matter what, whether it's me or one of my friends, or if somebody steps in and is willing to pay me a small profit, say present that one with a small profit, which it is. The wholesale fee is small in comparison. 90% of the deals, if they're gonna flip it, they're gonna make much more money than the wholesale deal. Sometimes people lose money on deals. It's reality. Anything else before we move on a little bit? So I got a reference guide I put together for you guys. The reference guide is something you can kind of hang on to and just periodically check through. You'll notice at the bottom there's a web address, a URL. And there's going to be some forms and some letters and some of the things that we hand out today so that you can have the actual Word file, like the agreement of sale, the assignment. I have like a vacant house letter up there. It's okay. I like yellow letters bigger. But you'll have access to all those at the web address that's at the bottom there. So this is kind of like we said, in the very beginning. A wholesale deal is basically 9 steps. You're going to market for leads. You're going to consistently market for leads. That's something that goes on all the time, whether or not you have a deal or not, consistently marketing for leads. Like in the beginning, there were days that I didn't go out clothes shopping. I wore my faded jeans. I wore my old sneakers. I wore my old gym shoes. I made some sacrifices so that I could keep my advertising running. Like for me, money's like a seed to be planted, for a better tomorrow, for return. And in the beginning, for me, like, if I was working with 90,000, maybe I would take 45 of that, buy a house and spend 45 fixing it up, and then sell the house for like a 135 number, and that would be the best return on the money. But in the beginning, there's no 90,000 there, so I'm willing to pay interest to get the 90,000. And then I find that my best return on my money is advertising. My first deal was, if I underestimate the cost of my ad, it was $60 and I made $6,000 and it was 100 times return. The reality was the ad was like $70, $80. But it's still a pretty good multiplier though. If you can spend $100 and get a deal to make even $3 grand, close enough. Let's do it. The living room, which is the showing, you'll hear me kind of refer to that as the living room. The living room skill. Negotiating in the living room. So I say, like, take a tour and build rapport. Real simple. You get to the property and you're going to sit there and say, okay, so what do you want to do? What do you want to say? They're looking to you because you're the expert. They want to know what's next. Say, give me a tour. And then you want to confidently and boldly, if the house is vacant, if the house you found yourself in a retail house, let them give you the tour. There's not going to be a deal there 90% of the time anyway. The place is decked out and nice. You probably should have asked better questions on the phone and let them go. In the beginning, you got to go out and see houses. You got to get comfortable in the presence of sellers and going through routine. So you can go out and look at just about every house, wholesale or not. Just go look at houses. You start looking for problems with construction, foundation, try to estimate, and you gotta get good at analyzing deals to a degree. But like the deals we work and offer together, they gotta have like a good reason why they're selling. They're motivated by condition. That's like my favorite. Not many talk about that. They say, yeah, we want, foreclosure leads. Foreclosure leads are overfinanced. They always owe too much money. Short sales take forever if they ever close in this market. 6 years ago, 5 years ago, when it hit the fan, it was a different story. You could get banks to negotiate. Occasionally they'll negotiate now, but understand you're a year and a half before you get to your payday. They're not great, especially for wholesale deals. You definitely want to maybe try that out, build that skill, develop it, see if that's something you want as a tool for the future. But in the beginning, don't get bogged down in a short sale. So motivated by condition, I mean, that's my favorite. Even if the guys live in there, like 9 out of 10 are vacant. And that's like a motivation. The property's vacant. Vacant and needs repairs, I'm going to see it. Guy's living there, he's telling me like what a piece of crap his house is, I'm going to see it. There's a chance that we're going to do a deal. Just yesterday I had a call and the guy says, yeah, I'm just looking for a fair offer for my house. I said, well listen, I'm looking for houses that need like a total renovation. I'm looking to keep my crews busy. He said, yeah, this is not the house. I said, well, you're better off going with a real estate agent. They're going to give you more money. And he's like let down because these people a lot of times will call with these nice houses and they're under the impression that you're going to give them a fair offer, like retail value minus the commission. They're looking for an easy way out. Yeah, they're looking for an easy way out, which is the same thing that the person with the house that's all beat up, they're looking for the easy way out too, and we are the easy way out for those people. Real estate agent could, in many of those situations, take a little longer to get the settlement, to get a buyer on these houses that are beat up, if they even want to list them. I've had stories where motivated sellers, she's paying the mortgage on the house, she's not even living there, she got an apartment like 7 years ago. And the real estate agent told her, yeah, you gotta fix this place up before I can list it. She doesn't have the capability. She did have some of the money, but she tried and got burnt by a contractor with a gambling and a drinking problem. He took the money, he put the cabinets up backwards, he just didn't show up to finish the job. I mean, when I got in and rehabbed the house, there were like electrical problems. It's amazing the place didn't burn down. Like, do you think that she wanted to blow the rest of her savings getting ready for the real estate agents to list the property? No, she didn't care about money. It was about getting out of the situation, and that's kind of like where we step in and fill our need in the marketplace. So number 3 is make an offer. You gotta make an offer on every house. If there's one mistake I see some new investors shy away from, get scared, cold feet, is making an offer. Because we're going to talk about the big lie. The big lie is the asking price. Where did you come up with that? Oh, well, Silo says it's worth $89,000. Say, hold on a minute. Go up in the right-hand corner, click the yellow box. It says recently sold sales. Click that yellow box. It's going to tell you all the recently sold houses in that neighborhood. I tell the guy on the phone. Oh, thanks for your time, he says. The yellow boxes were $3,000, $5,000, $11,000. He was dead set. We're not getting a penny less than $90,000. So that was the end of that. You know, kind of like fill them in. It was the big lie. You get set on a certain price, and they say, "Yeah, my asking price is this amount." Well, they're not quite aware that, like, a lot of times the seller's not aware of the condition of the house they're living in. Like, the toilet still works. They've been using that kitchen for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. You know what I mean? The house has always served them well, keeps the rain from coming in mostly, except for the back bedroom. But they don't even see it. It's like this condition deteriorates around you, and, you know, as the seller now, and they don't even see the repairs that are needed. You just kind of like walk by the hole in the wall, and it's like your mind just like shut it out. You don't even see it anymore, the seller. So they don't even like, they're not even aware. They're in a state of denial in a sense. So like a lot of times the asking price is the big lie. Like they're just trying to throw something out there and they got this false belief that it's a $90,000 house. So I'll make my offer, even if the offer is $8,000. That's the real value. And a lot of times you can make that offer and then the deal's going to circle back around and like 6, 8 months later they're still on the phone with you if you were the one diligently following up. The deal's in the follow-up. The deal's in the follow-up. I'll send them a letter. I'll mail them an agreement of sale a month later. Let them look at that agreement of sale like it's a check. You know what I mean? They want it 90. The agreement of sale is for like 32.5. Before you know it, that 32.5 is buying them a Buick. Or do they even sell Buick anymore? So then number 4, the agreement is accepted. You lock it up. There's no deal. There's nothing going on without the contract. Signing agreement of sale. Find a buyer for the deal. We're going to go over, you know, some of that, handling buyers, market that deal until it's sold. Yeah, steps 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We're best learning those when we're doing deals together. The title process, going to settlement, that's like becomes real. And we're not going to spend a ton of time on basically any of that stuff right now today. Today, the main goal when you leave here is to get that phone ring and know what to do when the phone rings. So that we're not, you know, focusing on the wrong end of the spectrum. Well, we have to get this deposit check in the pot. No. Just get the phone to ring and find out why they're selling. That's basically the main important pieces. Are there any other questions before we kind of get on to some of the marketing?
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so you talked about, short sales take too long, take forever. I've heard of wholesaling off the MLS. Have you ever tried that before?
That's not one of my specialties. I don't know if it's possible or not.
Okay.
I know that there's some guys who do them with like HUD houses and things.
Right.
They're usually trying to get me to buy like a total junk deal that we need for $30,000 to $50,000 lower.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess it's possible,
Mm-hmm.
but for now, it's not.
Okay.
You want sellers, right now, you want to develop your own confidence in the values in your offers. You want to understand why the offer is the offer. You want to watch a couple of deals go to closing, see what do these cash buyers actually want to pay. Because like a cash buyer in 30 days
Mm-hmm.
is a different story than a cash buyer in 120 days. You don't have 120 days to wait on a contract. They'll pay a little more, like a little more time in the market. You know, the sweet buyer with the home equity line finally gets around to making a decision, right? See, like I'm a cash buyer and I buy properties all the time. My decision's made, the offer's in within 24 hours on every property, every single property. Like I don't procrastinate one bit when it comes time to make a decision on buying a property. Whereas like the buyer who's going to take 4 months to buy, he's procrastinating. He just simply can't make a decision. Write this down. Successful people make decisions fast and rarely change their mind.
So what you do is you go there with the contract in your hand. Because I remember you saying you tried different things, you tried coming back around to them, but you found what works is going to their house with the contract.
Actually, 24 hours afterwards.
Oh,
You know?
okay.
Yeah, we'll go into that time
Okay.
as a negotiation strategy. Any other questions on that overview there? Another reference guide. There's a couple ideas for just basic, marketing for motivated sellers. There's a couple things you can get some ideas, and there's probably ideas you're going to come up with on your own.
What, you said you paid $80 for an ad? Is that a particular?
6 days.
For 6 days? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was in 2006.
Okay.
So the rates have gone way up since then.
Okay.
As people go more to the internet and many others of the area, media, places where you can buy advertising, the newspapers have actually raised their rates
Okay.
significantly since the volume's not there anymore. And it's kind of an interesting dynamic too, because like newspaper ads like Philadelphia Inquirer, make your phone ring off the hook. But it's an extremely expensive classified ad to keep it there. But it's hard to say. A lot of people are going to the internet nowadays, but a lot of the people who are inheriting properties and have old, beat-up, banged-up properties, they're still like newspaper people. Even though it's a smaller demographic, sometimes that can be a better demographic, even though it costs more. And like, you'll put a month ad in, you'll spend a lot of money on a month-long ad, And like, you won't have a single call, and the next thing you know, like 3 calls will come in end of the month. Makes it worth it. Like, I've had my newspaper ad running sometimes for 3 months without a call, and then get a call. If I go back a year, that same day, I've only got like 1 or 2 calls in the 3-month period, so you never know when it's coming. So I still commit to, you know, that $5,000-$6,000 a year to keep my newspaper ad running, because I know I'm gonna do a few deals throughout the year. But like May, June, July, newspaper ad is a good time. So if you know, if that requires like $1,000 a month, it's probably worth it during those periods of time, as opposed to like January, February, March, still is a little slow. November, December is slow. People just aren't buying houses as much during this time of year. So we'll go through a couple of these here. I've done most, not all. Direct mail campaigns. It's a matter of staying consistent with direct mail. They're fantastic, but you're playing a numbers game, and you gotta have like that diligence to do that. If it's once a week, if it's every other week, you know, you pick like one day and you show up that day, do that stuff like clockwork. So for me, every Sunday I was doing my data mining, and I'm licking stamps, and I'm doing all that, and I buy properties from that, from direct mail. Probate letters, out-of-town owners, bankruptcies, divorce, delinquent taxes, pre-foreclosure, list source will allow you to build some different lists. And you kind of got to develop your own strategy, which you find works well. Like pre-foreclosure, for me, I'm not like a short sale specialist. I don't have money lined up to take over people's mortgage payments. It's a risky proposition for me. So I don't market to pre-foreclosure. However, I had a friend who would do it across New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. And he would send 5,000 letters every week. Spend a lot of money on direct mail. And his strategy was he will pay the person's 2, 3, 4 months back payments and take the mortgage payment over. But he had, you know, $400,000 or $500,000 in the bank to do that. So that was like his strategy. It worked. Some he would do these long, like short sales. He had time to wait. So like in the beginning, that really wouldn't have been a good strategy to kind of get involved in. Probate letters, you're a little bit of an ambulance chaser. You're sending someone a letter when they're grieving. They're getting grieving cards in the mail, and there's flowers being sent, and they just had a funeral. And you're sending a letter. And you found them through that same information, and they know that. So you're a little bit of an ambulance chaser, and if you can find the right way to present your service to people like that and do that consistently, there are deals there. Not everyone who has that house, they're going to have a lot of well-maintained houses that belong in the retail market. But some of the probate, a good amount of probate houses are going to be in need of like a total update, total repair. They like kind of know the situation of the house, and like some of them are looking for that cash buyer. So if you do probate letters, you will get some phone calls from people who are like, hey, you're, you know, total heartless bastard, and please don't. That's fine. We're not looking for them. Don't let that, you know, cause an emotional problem if that's your strategy for deals, because there's good deals that come from probate. And some are going to say, this is great. You know, I didn't know what I was going to do with this problem. Mom's house is such a shithole, excuse my language. I didn't know what we were going to do with it. The real estate agent told us to put 50 grand in and we'll list it. You know, that's going to happen. And you're the one who provides the service that they're looking for and that they need. So if you think, anytime you write advertising, you got to put yourself in the mentality of the person that's reading the advertising. Say, all right, let me read their mind. Let me find out what's going through their mind. Well, they're grieving. They just went through a death. Like, how can I speak to that person in a way that's somewhat compassionate enough? You know, hey, I understand that you didn't, you know, may not necessarily need my service, but I, you know, also buy a lot of property where it was part of an estate and the house needed a lot of repairs. If this is not your house, I apologize. Give me a call. I can take you off the list. Because they're going to get, you go down there and spend your time in the courthouse getting probate information, you better send them at least 4, 5, 6 letters. Don't waste your time and energy and effort and money going down and pulling, you know, you're going to spend a lot of time getting probate leads from the courthouse, from the register of wills, and then only send 1 letter, you'd shortchange yourself, because the first letter, 9 times out of 10, is going to the trash. By the 3rd or 4th, they're kind of looking at it, and they're going to call you and tell you to take them off the list. And you got to call, and you can do that, and that's a good thing, or to call you and to say, yeah, you know what, we're interested to see how much you're gonna pay for the property. Not all people are cut out for direct mail, because it is a numbers game. So not everybody's gonna find the ability to be diligent and sitting down once a week and getting letters in the mail. A lot of times it's a time thing. It's cheap. I like direct mail because if you have $100, you can get in the game. You can start doing something. Like, can you compete with a $3,000 or $4,000 marketing budget or $65,000 like Home Investors has? You're just getting into business. But $100, I don't care if it's $10. Put 20 letters in the mail. Handwrite them. Put your time, put your effort. You got two choices to get the phone ringing. Put some time in there, if you got no money, or you can put money at it. So like you get to driving for dollars. That's another direct mail campaign that's listed on here. And you're looking for the vacant houses, the snow, ice, you know, anything that indicates the property's vacant. It's nice when you see, like, in the city, you got the metal security doors, and there's like a ton of those Chinese store menus in there, and that's a dead giveaway. Because sometimes they'll stop delivering mail once they recognize that the property's empty, or they reported the person died, and it's part of an estate. And people who have it, they don't even have the wherewithal. They don't know to go down and start the estate. They don't know what the next process is, and they don't even know the property isn't even probably worth anything. It's in such bad shape. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. They keep sending me the tax bills. Finally, your letter comes. Maybe they believe it's too good to be true and they throw it in the trash. Then your second and your third letter comes, and they say, you know what, all right, let's give it a shot. Give them a call. John, who was here the other night, he sold new property, we're at Leeds, it's all direct mail. That's his, and he spends like a ton of money on, like well over $1,000 a month on iBuyHouses.com. So it's like a national lead service licensing that you can purchase, over $1,000 a month, just for the license. And they'll get some leads because people will type in I buy houses, it shows up, and he'll get some leads for his $1,000. But then he also spends his budget on top of that. So he's paying on top of the $1,000, painted the van, everything. He said, van, they're junk leads. Only deals that get done is mail, it's junk that he's getting from the I buy houses thing. Bandit signs. I know a lot of people that make a good amount of money. Again, it's more of a time thing. You can buy 100 bandit signs for $300 or less. They come in this big giant box and they're heavy. And it's great. I left mine out in the rain and the box got like destroyed. I still went out there and put them up. I usually get a ladder and I put the nail in the middle, and in the lower half, long roofing nails, because some telephone poles are like split, dried out. And then I climb up and I hold the handle by the very end like this, and I get my ladder, 4-foot ladder, I climb to the top, I'm like way up there, and I would nail it in so no one could take it back down. The lead quality is not necessarily great. You get neighbors complaining and calling that you need to come take the sign down. It's illegal in most townships, so if the police see you putting it up, probably not in Philly, they wouldn't care. What's the big? They're not even getting out of the car when they see a hand-to-hand drug transaction. Especially if it's cold out in this weather, right? They're not even getting out of the car. But the lead quality is not necessarily always there. It's the kind of thing, like if you want to have a ton of money, there's guys who go out with magic marker, write cash for homes, and the S is a $ on there, you know, and they put them up, and they get leads from them, and they get deals from them. You're going to still, you know, get leads and deals for just about anything you try. The thing is, do something that you're consistently comfortable with. The gold mine ad in the newspaper, we buy houses cash as is, blah, blah, blah.